Hey traders, Raghee here. Let's get a quick audio and video check in. We should be good to go. All right, welcome. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Welcome to the Charts and Coffee with Raghee show for Wednesday the 25th. Hope everyone's doing great. Good morning, good morning. All right, so let's talk a little bit about today. I consider Wednesday to be a day that if we're going to see anything, it's going to be traders kind of phoning it in. We've already seen a lot of people out of the market. They're traveling, they're geared up for the Thanksgiving holiday. Friday is going to be a half day, likely not one that's going to be, super heavily participated in. So with that in mind, this is not the kind of week where I want to be putting on a lot of positions. I want to be updating my watch list, checking it again, finding the best market structure, which is still bullish, by the way, and focusing on names like Starbucks, focusing on names that are heading higher. Starbucks is part of the XLY ETF, the discretionary ETF. I mean, these are the kinds of things I want to focus on. Individual stocks that are outperforming the broader averages or outperforming their overall sector, or I want to find sectors that are outperforming. One of the questions that I received via, I can't remember if it was text or email yesterday, was why is XLF and XLE, why are those two moving higher? And the reason I think for that is, I saw this somewhere, I can't take credit, but I think it's true. Vaccine equals value. And I think there's a perception of value to be found in names like XLF right now. XLE, I think that's a little bit of sector rotation, but there is some perception that vaccine equals value. And so that's kind of the way the market's moving forward with that. All right, so in terms of day trading and gap psychology and things like that, please be very nimble in terms of the way in which the market is again, gearing up for the holiday and things of that nature. ES is a double green. I'm a big fan of sticking to the long side on things like ES, SPY, YM, DIA. And these are going to continue to be where I want to focus. Now that brings us back to the NQ. Pretty much status quo here, yellow wave. And, look no further in terms of culprits. Then the big names. Look at XLK. XLY is on a double green either. And the culprit here is the chop we're seeing in Amazon. What about Facebook? Chop. The only market within the top 6. So you've got Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, Google, Facebook. All right. Google's moving higher. We can throw Tesla in there when it comes to the NASDAQ. Tesla's in fuego again, although Tesla's going to be a conversation about the S&P. We've talked a lot about Tesla in the chat rooms. I think I've mentioned it here as well, which is, look, there was never any reason to short Tesla. Certainly, if you believed in the move higher because you were anticipating the inclusion in the S&P or just the heavier weight, heavier emphasis on Tesla in the NASDAQ, fine. Buy it on an oversold low. But there was never any reason to short Tesla. And clearly, as it goes back to being double green and clearly is going parabolic again, people are back on the Tesla rocket. All right. So, and good for them for not being shaken out of their directional bias, even when the trend took a break. It's amazing how impatient traders will get in this area on the chart. Actually, let me zoom in here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. It's amazing how often traders will be impatient when the market loses the trend or it stops moving in a parabolic way and starts to go sideways. Again, if you believe in the name in terms of the directional bias, even when the trend is gone, because those two are not the same thing, think about how you can use an oversold buy. Now, I got a lot of emails about DraftKings. Is it the same story here? No, it's actually not. I don't believe it's the exact same story here in terms of, think about what's happening with Tesla. It's now a heavily weighted stock within the NASDAQ. It's going to be added to the S&P. It's not the same conversation about DraftKings, okay? All right, so let's circle on back to a few sections of the NAS, which makes sense. All right, so let's talk about SMH. So what do we have here in SMH? All right. So here we have, and what is a double green indicator called? It's called the JT trend, the two labels. When I talk about double green, by the way, I'm referring to these two labels in the upper left-hand corner. I guess it would be that way. The upper left-hand corner of the chart. It's called the JT trend. JT trend. So I've got green grab candles. I've got the 13 propulsion dot lit up. I've got the 21 propulsion dot lit up. This is a very well confirmed structured uptrend where if we pull back to the 13 EMA, if we pull back to the 21, it's a valid buy. So I would prefer to play XLC over QQQ. And I would prefer to play SMH over the QQQ. All right. All right. Yes, I drank my coffee already today. Yeah, coffee has been 2 cups, 2 big cups. I was up early, about 4. 2 big cups, just finished a session of rowing. So finishing up the hurricane supplies. So if you live in Florida, you know that you're going to have some room or some closet in your house that's full of bottled water. I'm not a huge fan of bottled water. I mean, clearly the plastic is not the best thing, but during hurricane season, by August, we have quite a few boxes of water stored. And by the time we're at the end of November, we got to drink it. So, all right. So let's grab some questions here. And so, gang, I really would discourage folks getting too aggressive today. Question here is, does the market take a breather today? Who's going to be around to drive it higher? I would suspect a little bit of a breather today. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a squat-bodied candle. And remember, this isn't going into a long weekend. This is just Friday, half day, Thursday off, Wednesday, regular day. So I'm not expecting anything dramatic. I would love to see a sell-off. Do I think it's going to happen? No. But if we do, I'd love to get long many of these indices and stocks off the charts that have these yellow propulsion dots, like you'll see this Dow chart does, right? We have yellow propulsion dots in the Dow, which means the 13 exponential moving average is in play as a potential buy. All right, so questions. As far as taking profit today in the markets, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of profit taking after yesterday's big day in the Dow breaking through 30,000. Wouldn't surprise me, my friend, not at all. Okay, let's see here. What other questions do we have? Already drank the coffee, Matt. I already drank the coffee today. Today is charts and water with Raghee. I'll be having more coffee later. I'm going to be cooking some brunch today. And then, by the way, I'm going into our ETF Masterclass live trading. So for those of you that took the Masterclass, we have day 3 of our live trading. I'm going to put some more symbols on the watch list and on the radar and set up next week, which I'm very excited about. NIO, this is one of those stock du jours, right? Flavor of the month, flavor of the week. Nothing wrong with that. It's a double green. It's doing its own thing. In terms of whether or not this is a dip, not for me, not enough. 13 exponential moving average if I'm going to buy this on a dip. Maybe the 50 level because it's a psychological level. People ignore round numbers so much. The decade levels, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Maybe 50 as a fairly aggressive level for which the market to sell off and then bounce. If not 13 exponential, where the yellow dots are in this chart on NIO. I've played NIO a bit, not a lot. I will tell you, I've been in and out of it maybe about 3 times or so. Can I please post the seminar? Oh gosh. You guys are giving me homework in the morning. All right, let me see. Let me see what I've got. I think I'll keep these things handy. I know, shocking. I have these things up all the time. It's a great webinar. Toby's amazing. Anderson Advisors. So for those of you that are wondering what I'm looking up now, so last week or week before last, my buddy Toby at Anderson Advisors. Anderson Advisors, what the heck are they? They're not telling you what to trade or how to trade it. What they're here to do is create the entities through which you protect your assets and create. For example, I trade through entities. What's entities? Corporations, LLCs, asset protection, tax advantage, all that great stuff. And this is what these guys specialize in. Let me see here. I think it's just simplertrading.com/tax-replay. Okay, I believe that's it right there. Yep. Smook, you posted it? Okay, cool. I'm still way at the top of the list of the questions. And thank you for helping out. So that is the webinar. Really good stuff. Toby knows his stuff. By the way, they're not selling anything in that webinar. If you want a consultation to talk with someone, if you're serious about taking the next step about trading through entities, asset protection, you can put your name in email and 1, set up an appointment, and 2, they'll send you a copy of, what the heck is the name of the book? Tax-Wise. It's in its fourth printing. I've got the hard copy over here on the monster bookshelf. So Tax-Wise and a bunch of other great goodies to just educate yourself about what you can do as you, as you grow as a trader in your career. All right, cool. Next up is, I also want to take a quick peek at gold. I've been getting a ton of questions on gold. All right. 2 things about gold. Keep in mind, I'm looking for an inside day today. Looks like we might get it. I was looking for this after the first sell-off, right? After we first sold off on the 23rd, I was looking for an inside day or a minor low. Didn't get it today. I'll be looking after the sell-off on the 24th. I'll be looking for a minor low or an inside day here. So it looks like we're getting it. Looks like the 200 exponential is holding. If this holds, if there's an inside day, maybe on Friday, I'll think about some GLD calls. If you want to be a little aggro about it, you can look at some GLD calls for February's expiration on this nice squat bodied candle. Okay, so that's the plan with GLD. How do I think through longer term holdings? So a longer term time horizon. So how do I structure, say, an investment portfolio? Well, the first thing is I think through them longer term. I mean, just kind of the answer is also in the question, Jamie. Great question. The answer is I'll usually have a time horizon of minimum 6 months, which might seem short. But if I don't like it in that 6-month window, it may not be really good timing for the entry. So minimum 6 months. My maximum investment is somewhere around 5 to 7 years. I usually will have something I want to build up to, and I'll invest with about a 5 to 7 year time horizon. That's not for everybody, but I'm a trader, right? It's going to seep into my investing. So my investing is a little bit more active. So 5 to 7 years usually is a pretty normal thing. Now, granted, I've been also managing a portfolio. My mom, credit to her, started letting me manage her money when she saw I had a knack for this. I started doing that when I was 19. Between 19 and 25, I slowly took it over in those years. By the time I was 25, I was fully managing her portfolio, which, by the way, this wasn't something she did to pass off to her kid for fun. This was my mom's grub stake. This was her retirement money. And I was very young, was doing pretty well with trading, but she was retired, a widow. So this was no joke to let her kid manage her portfolio. So I've been managing that for almost 30 years. So managing things before 2001 is very different than managing them since 2001. Managing things before 2008, again, very different because your cost basis for a lot of these things. My mom has a cost basis of $40 in Amazon. You can't reproduce that. Those are things that, I put her in years ago, right? So it's very different now. I think investing is, look, could Warren Buffett be Warren Buffett today? No knock on Warren Buffett, no knock on Charlie Munger. Could they be who they are today? The cost basis is different. I know for me, right? 30 plus some odd years of trading and investing, I couldn't do what I did then for my mother and for myself and for my sister. Couldn't do the same thing today. I added a fourth portfolio. I only do this for my family. So this is just family. My mom, my sister, my husband, and I. And I have a fourth portfolio, which was a college fund. It was geared to be a fourth and fifth. One is another retirement portfolio, and then another one was a college fund. Those are about 5 years, right? 5 years in the making. A little bit less than that, actually. No, right about 5. Anyway, how I have to build that, Jamie, is very different. A lot of options, a little bit more activity. 6 months to 1 year in terms of movement, covered call writing, selling puts to enter my trades. I mean, it's very different. And I know I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I don't want anybody thinking that I feel like I could do the same thing today as I did back in 1989, 90, 91. I can't, right? And I don't think a lot of people can. There was an advantage to starting when things were at different prices. So it's not to discourage anybody, because I've done the same thing in the last 5 years, 6 years, but it is a shorter time horizon. That's one thing I found myself very naturally doing. I hope that makes sense. You still have 5. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I every year we do the water thing, and then by November, December, we just drink it all, and then we restock up again in August. Oh, that's hilarious. I always try to stock up on hurricane supplies that I won't mind using later on, whether that be soup, whatever. Okay, let's see. Same there in Alabama. Very cool. RTY is very strong. RTY, the Russell is in a really good uptrend. It's a small cap uptrend we're seeing here. Green grab candles. Will I buy IWM on pullbacks? I don't have a problem with that. Will I buy RTY on a pullback? Again, I don't have a problem with that. But remember that RTY, in terms of the weighting, the structure, what's in it, it's distinctly different than what you're seeing. So you've got certain names in the S&P, Dow, NASDAQ, and they share a lot of space. They share a lot of commonality at the stock level and at the sector level. But RTY is a whole other thing. RTY is not a high concentration weighted index or ETF. It doesn't have the same type of separation of sectors. It's a different animal. It's going to do its own thing. So look at it, part of the broader indices, yes, but it really can do its own thing. So just be aware of that. It is not a leader for everything else. I know some people love to say, oh, it leads everything else. No, it really doesn't. There are certain environments where domestic small caps are going to do well. And there's certain environments where international and blue chip are going to do well. There's certain environments where healthcare and financials and energy are going to do well. And there's certain environments where tech is going to do well. And that takes you 4 different indices, so. On SMH and XLC, no. So Chaya is great question. SMH is plenty liquid. XLC, you'll typically have to go down to the stock level. XLC options are very, very thin, which saddens me. It's a great ETF. So, as far as a post-Thanksgiving sell-off, I look for it after Thanksgiving. Yeah, for those of you asking, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, which I would welcome. Please give me a pullback. Let's have a good old-fashioned markets in turmoil special on television. Give me one of those days. Give me a 1% sell-off, 2%. Give me a good sell-off, and I will be bullish on those markets that have the structure that I call double green, which is that 8, 13, 21, and 34 EMA structure. Okay. All right. So what else do we have here as we're wrapping up our show? UNH I like UNH very much. Bevan? Yeah, I like UNH very much. Is it the best name in XLV? I would say one thing you could do is maybe go XLV, bet on the tide, not the individual boat, although UNH is the biggest boat within this tide. Are there names that look better than UNH within the healthcare ETF? Actually, yes. There are some. I believe it's AbbVie still has very good structure. And let me see here. AbbVie still has very good structure, as you can see there. And I would keep an eye on, I mean, UNH got rocked with the sell-off, but I'd keep an eye on AbbVie. I'd keep an eye on Abbott. Be patient. It looks like Merck is setting up for those of you that are familiar with the jargon, the squeeze, which is a market that's compressing, which is going to have a momentum breakout. That Merck is setting up pretty nicely for that. I look out for a squeeze on Merck and potentially on UNH as well. But I'm long, just all my cards on the table. I'm long UNH. I'm long XLV. And I got stopped out of Thermodynamic Fisher, TMO, some time back. Those of you that are in the Sector Secrets Mastery, you guys know we have a long position in XLV, okay? Next up is, just bear with me. Raghee Horner's Corner, great story. Oh, yeah, embarrassing, but great, yeah. Mark, thanks for the feedback. Yeah, I thought it was a terrific webinar as well. All right. Yeah, they work real estate. They do trade. I mean, they do a lot of stuff, right? Yeah, I'm a big fan. I want to go to one of their in-person weekend seminars at some point. I love going to seminars. I'd love to do that. All right, let me wrap up here. Are we going to do a session tomorrow? Yeah, I think we will. We'll do a session tomorrow, and I'll go over some resources and charts and things like that, so we can have more of a Q&A session tomorrow. Yeah. So I'm cool with that. I know a lot of you have questions about the charts and indicators and things like that. Now, hey gang, I'll tell you straight up, only because there's only so much I can do to support these things. Some of the indicators that I use are premium. Any of the V-score, volume weighted average price, V-profile, those are premium. You don't need them, clearly, but they are premium. And some of the tools like my HPMR and my trade flags, I kind of keep those to members only, right? A few of you guys know there's a URL that I give you guys. That's for our community. I mean, I wouldn't go, that's for you guys. So some things I actually share with the community over at Simpler and Simpler only because that's the only way that I can support it, meaning when they have questions and things like that. But most of the tools that I have running here, you can find on the TradeStation platform right now. You can find on TradingView. If you search Simpler, that's available right now. And then some of them are just for members, but they're free. So I like to be very upfront with you guys. Some of these I do release more broadly, but a lot of them we just support in the different chat rooms. Okay. All right, gang, let me get going. I will see you all later on today in the ETF Masterclass live trading. I know some of you are heading on over to the Simpler Futures room or the Simpler Options room. So cool. Don't overtrade. I'll see you tomorrow morning. All right, gang. Be good to each other.